Sermon at Banaras. Today we are going to discuss yet another chapter from your literature reader First Flight. This chapter is a transcription of the first sermon that Gautam Buddha delivered at Banaras after he achieved enlightenment. To begin with, Buddha was not always a monk. Today we will read about a famous man called Gautam Buddha. Yes, the one after whom the religion Buddhism is named. That's right. He was born a prince to King Suddhodana and Queen Maya Devi. Why did he give up all worldly pleasures and lead the life of an ascetic? Well, we shall read about that in the chapter The Sermon at Banaras. The Sermon at Banaras is originally written by Betty Renshaw. It covers the life of Gautam Buddha from his princely life to his saintly life. As he saw the sufferings of the world, he chose to surrender the material world and sought enlightenment. Now let's read the story. Gautam Buddha was born in 563 BC and began his life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautama in northern India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and 4 years later, he returned home to marry a princess. He had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted royalty. At the age of 25, the prince heretofore shielded from the sufferings of the world while out hunting, chanced upon a sick man, then an aged man, then a funeral procession, and finally a monk begging for alms. These sights so moved him that at once he went out into the world to seek enlightenment concerning the sorrows he had witnessed. He wandered for 7 years and finally sat down under a peepal tree where he vowed to stay until enlightenment came. Enlightened after 7 days, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree, the tree of wisdom, and began to teach and share his new understandings. At that point, he became known as the Buddha, the awakened or the enlightened. The Buddha preached his first sermon in the city of Banaras, most holy of the dipping places on the river Ganges. That sermon has been preserved and is given here. It reflects the Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable kind of suffering, that is, death. A lady named Kisa Gotami had only one son and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicines, and the people thought she had lost her senses as she wanted her dead son to come to life. At length, Kisa Gotami met a man who replied to her request. "I cannot give the medicine for thy child, but I know a physician who can." And the lady said, "Pray tell me, sir, who is it?" And the man replied, "Go to Shakyamuni, the Buddha." Kisa Gotami repaired to the Buddha and cried, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy." The Buddha answered, "I want a handful of mustard seed." And when the lady in her joy promised to procure it, the Buddha added, "The mustard seeds must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or a friend." Poor Kisa Gotami now went from house to house, and people pitied her and gave her mustard seeds. "Take it." But when she asked, "Did a son or a daughter, a father or a mother die in your family?" they answered her, "Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of the deepest grief." And there was no house where some beloved one had not died in it. See, it is the rule of nature. Kisa Gotami became weary and hopeless and sat down the wayside, watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. At last, the darkness of the night reigned everywhere, and she considered the fate of men and their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. she thought to herself, "How selfish and narrow minded am I in my grief? Death is inevitable and common to all." Gautam Buddha, in his sermon at Banaras, uses a number of metaphors to compare the life of human beings to other elements of nature. His aim is to point out that death is natural, inevitable, and unavoidable. Main tenets of Buddha's sermon are: as ripe fruits are early in danger of death. This means there is no way a living being can avoid facing death. Just like a ripe fruit is more prone to falling, an aged mortal is bound to die. Next one, as all earthen vessels made by the potter end in being broken, so is the life of mortals. Through these lines, Buddha tells us how vulnerable or defenseless human life is. Both young and adult, bother those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death, all are subject to death. This implies that death does not discriminate. It affects everyone, irrespective of their merit, class, or background. Mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off, like an ox that is led to the slaughter. This line highlights the cruelty and unsparing nature of death. The wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world, will make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. This means that wise people are informed about the ways of the world. They do not torment themselves by grieving. They know that grieving will adversely affect their health and steal their peace of mind. He who has drawn out the arrow has become composed while obtained peace of mind. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. For Gautam Buddha, attaining a peaceful state of existence is the ultimate goal. He wishes everyone to reach salvation by overcoming sorrow. To conclude, Buddha's first sermon at Banaras reflects his wisdom about one kind of suffering, that is death. Here, the Buddha tells about the universality of death, which is inevitable and can't be escaped. Sufferings are more relevant to today's world than maybe it has ever been. The path to liberating oneself from sufferings revolves around right speech, right conduct, right view, right resolve, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditation. And this would eventually heal the entire mankind. Thank you.